We now come to the statement on the pattern of the crystal board, the statement of Ageless Wisdom, which is numbered 5. This sphere on the tree is the 5th sphere, and it is opposite the one we just looked at. It is opposite Hesed. This is the 5th one, and it's usually called Gevura, which means strength. But it also means justice and power. And in a certain way, more qualities of the previous sphere of Hesed come into view now because of its complementary opposite. But first, let's look at the statement itself. It says, I recognize the manifestation of the undeviating justice in all the circumstances of my life. I recognize the undeviating justice in all the circumstances of my life. This term, undeviating justice, is, for us nowadays, better understood by the Sanskrit term karma. The undeviating justice is the law of karma at work within the universe. And so it's saying, I recognize its manifestation in all the circumstances of my life. First, I'd like to say something about karma, because some people have an exaggerated understanding of it. The word karma simply means action. And here, it's not saying good karma or bad karma. It's the action brings about a fruit. Every action brings about a result. But it's important to understand exactly how karma is born, what's called a seed of karma. Because otherwise people, otherwise people will get an exaggerated sense of it. For karma to come into effect, firstly there must be the intention. I must intend to do something. I must will to do something. So it's not haphazard, it's deliberate. So that's the first necessity for karma. Having done that, the second necessity is I must then do it. I intended to do it, but as you know, often we intend to do things and don't see them through. But I must intend to do it, and then I do it. That's the second requirement. And the third and final one is, having intended, having done it, I'm then pleased or satisfied that I have done it. From this, then, a seed of karma is born, which must be played out in some sense or another. Remember, there's good karma too. And so there has to be this sense of satisfaction. Intention, act, satisfaction. And then the seed of karma is rooted. And as I say, that can be beneficial or unbeneficial. But now we're going to bring into play what we learned about Hesed, meaning mercy. Hesed comes before Gevura. It comes before severity, before strength. And therefore the teaching is, it is greater than. Living in the United Kingdom, which has a slightly archaic law system, there is the idea that there is justice. So there's a legal system. The courts are charged to try the breaking of law, and then to sentence appropriately. But there is also what occasionally happens. Here we have a monarchy. We're about to have our new king crowned in a few weeks' time, Charles III. We have what's called a royal pardon. Now, a pardon is not that the sentence was wrong or it's turned out the person didn't actually break the law. They did. But the Crown has the right, since ancient times, to lift, to free a person from their sentence, the pardon. And this is why Hesed is greater than Gevurah, because mercy, compassion, is greater. The grim interpretation of the law demands, this was done badly, therefore a person must experience it. Though, of course, this isn't a blind thing. The reason why we have to experience it is so that we know better than to do it again. Or more importantly, so that in the future we don't do it again to other people. That's really what it's about. So in this sense, this is why Hesed is often called magnificence, because in comparison to Gevurah, it has that majestic, embracing freedom that's given. Now this statement for Gevurah, I recognise the manifestation of the undeviating justice in all the circumstances of my life. And that's, in one sense, is a simple statement that karma, the law of cause and effect, is at work in all life. But there is a wisdom to this which is often overlooked by people. Even those who are very familiar with the Trestle Board don't often understand it. Because read as the surfacing is, I recognise, I see that, yeah, okay, that happened, that must be karma, blah, blah, blah. But bear in mind, these are sayings of sages, and so they hold within them pearls of wisdom that help us evolve. So here the statement is, in truth, I recognise the manifestation of the undeviating justice in all the circumstances of my life. I recognise. Cognize is to understand. Cognize is to have wisdom, to have knowledge. I re-understand the law of karma. Do you see? I see it for what it is, and knowing it for what it is, I am then able to live my life skillfully with a balance of strength and mercy, of Hesed and Gevurah. So to recognize enables us to then become skillful in the laws of the universe. And because we recognize the fruit of karma may not necessarily have to come into being. Now, that sounds a paradox, as if I'm saying, oh, well, we can undo the law of karma. Well, the law isn't mocked, but, there is always wisdom. There's a lovely Tibetan saying that even somebody in the deepest hell can have a quite a comfortable time if they have the knowledge of how to use the law. Well, we won't go there. But anyway, this recognition enables us to deal with it. And how is that done? So, you've heard me use the Eastern term, a seed of karma. This is a reference to Indian cooking, though it applies to other cultures nowadays too. But if you've ever cooked a curry, the first thing you do is to heat some oil, and in the hot oil you put seeds of various spices, peppers and cumin and turmeric and things, because then any vegetable that's then fried in that oil is then flavoured by the spice. Yes? Meditation is sometimes called frying the seeds of karma. Going back to our analogy of cooking, if you've fried some seeds of spices, if you were to then take them out, these fried seeds, and plant them in the soil, will they ever sprout into a plant? No. The frying, the application of the heat, has neutralized their ability to sprout. This is the reference to meditation. Meditation, which means contemplating the universe and the laws of the universe, meditation fries the seeds of karma. What it means in a very specific way is that if a person becomes a skilled meditator, their seeds of karma, which we all have, no longer require physical manifestation. I mean, let's not be naive and think of meditation as just like sitting still and watching your breath. Anybody who seriously meditates knows that from time to time, emotional complexes surface into the mind. And these have to be faced and neutralized and skillfully transmuted. Yes, that's really what alchemy is to an extent, the transmutation. So the meditator still faces the consequences of karma, but they face it inside. If we're stupid, if we're thick, then karma just has to manifest outside. So if we've been like cruel in the past, then something has to happen to us so that we experience fear because of what we've done in the past. So then somebody is now being terrifying to us. But the meditator, by being courageous enough to go within, will face fears inside. Now, don't get me wrong, that can be more fearful. But nevertheless, it will neutralize it. There will then not be a need for that karma to come into being on the physical plane. And this is why meditation is called frying the seeds of karma. And so you can see there is this combination between the majesty of Hesed and the strength and power of Gevurah. But when mercy is applied, when compassion is applied, karma is transmuted from being something of fear into the very same energy which, when liberated, helps us to become enlightened. So I will recite all the statements on the chessboard we've done so far. 0, all the power that ever was or will be is here, now. 1, I am a centre of expression for the primal will to good which eternally creates and sustains the universe. 2, through me its unfailing wisdom takes form in thought and word. 3, filled with understanding of its perfect law, I am guided moment by moment along the path of liberation. 4, from the exhaustless riches of its limitless substance, I draw all things needful, both spiritual and material. And 5, I recognize the manifestation of the undeviating justice in all the circumstances of my life. May we all transmute our dark lead of suffering into the gold of endless joy.